Try that. Can you see that?
At the moment, I've just got Discord's little dancing dots. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Do we have it?
Yep, we have it.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're missing the bottom, like, 100 fucking pixels.
What is it that you don't see? We can tell you if we see it.
It's the bottom, like, the bottom 100 pixels. There's a line underneath where it says, conceptualized and written by Maddsmallow, and it says, given by Sev, so there will be swears, mistakes, and terrible jokes. And that.
Yeah, I see it.
You can see it?
Yeah.
We can see them.
Yeah, we see that.
Well, it ain't on the recording, so...
Well,
So that'll be interesting to see if the recording catches that.
Yeah. It's not on my preview of the recording, I guess. God only knows what we're gonna get, you know? I'm not a fucking professional here.
variety is the spice of life.
Not a professional, we never would have guessed.
Right? Okay, hello? Hello? Yes, capture. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Just don't shut down on me. That's all I want. Alright, there.
You sound like you're negotiating a rough patch in a relationship.
That's kind of my whole experience with, this whole process. I want to put this on YouTube, and, like, anyone who ever watches my YouTube is gonna be like, wow, you're so fucking stupid. But, you know what?
You mean they weren't like that anyway if they'd been watching you eat?
I was opening my mouth to say pretty much the same thing.
Do you see what I'm up with? Do you all understand?
Everybody, Seth made the biggest mistake of Seth's life earlier because Jay and I got introduced to the same chat.
I was
Either of you free, and we both went, oh man.
I was testing my settings, and I will regret it forever.
And we're going to be testing your patience forever.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
absolutely. In tandem.
No, trust me. All right. Well, it's 11 minutes in. Who's ready?
I'm ready.
I don't know, Sev, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The most regretful
I'm going to
ever.
move my eyes.
I'm being perceived.
All right, well, here's how I figure we... Jay, fucking... Here's how I kind of figure we'll go. There's a lot of content to this, so... I'm
sorry, I fucking ramble so bad.
No, I love it. I think it's great. But what I figure I'll do, each slide, I'm going to go through, I'll give like a high level, summary of what's on the slide, whatever, and then there'll be a pause. If Maddie has something to add, they can add it. If anybody else has something to add, they can add it. We are recording chat, so don't feel like you have to be on voice. People on voice are probably just going to heckle me, so, whatever. But you can put questions in the chat. You can say it out loud. It doesn't really matter. And we'll just kind of, after maybe not every slide, but every sort of point that we make, we'll have a pause for everybody to sort of, say their share of whatever they need. So get ready to learn how to draw 60. Amongst other fun. I hate you so much. I'm watching. I don't think I can see the chat. So here we go. Here's the agenda for this particular run, right? I'm going to go through what is a reference, when should I use a reference, and when should I not use a reference, right? Two related questions, but circumstances are a little bit different. How do you find references? How do you use them specifically? How do you credit them? And then some miscellaneous art advice related to references, but also related to generally, how to get better at your art when you are using references that we've put at the end. So that's kind of how we're going to go. I know I'm going to get trolled. That's okay.
And if you really want to kill your liver, take a drink every time you hear the word reference.
You don't understand the size of the drink I have sitting on my desk. I'm not. Yes. Jay's with me. Okay, so what is a reference? And actually, hold on. I'm going to take a moment to move the chat window up to the top because I think we put less stuff in the top corner. I don't know. We'll find out. This is going to be a learning experience for everybody involved. What is a reference, right? a reference photo, it can be a photo or a picture, and we're going to talk about later what makes a reference different than like an artwork, right? It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's an image that an artist references for inspiration or information when they're creating a piece of art, right? And they're meant to give the artist a better physical understanding of what they're trying to make so that it can be more accurate and believable. And not only are they a reference for one specific work, but they can also be a tool for learning, okay? Studying and learning the way that things work, shapes, proportions, coloring, lighting, all the things that are important to creative art. So you can use it as, you know, a reference for one specific thing, but they can also be used as a tool for creation as you go on, right? Toast. It's funny because I have to click into the chat to get the GIF to like automate, and then I have to click back to the presentation to get it to advance. So like, it's very funny. All right. So a reference is really okay to use, right? That's the question. And obviously, yes. Okay.
Silly dumbass.
Silly
Very
dumbass,
important
right?
addition.
And the point here is using a reference is a morally neutral act. Okay, it's harmless to use as an artist with the understanding that you are using them in an appropriate way, right? And the point here is that artists can't possibly remember every single detail of every object, every kind of thing, the size or shape of every single thing, and how they relate to each other, right? You know, thinking an artist should know how to draw anything and everything, right, without a guide is ridiculous. And I've made a couple analogies here, and I don't want to make this, you know, a presentation about writers, right? But there's this stigma, you know, with artists against using references. And so what I want to point out is like writers can do research on topics they're not familiar with, right? And that kind of helps writers create realistic settings and create interesting details and, you know, give their stories some more depth and stuff like that. And for some reason that's applauded with writers, but there's this stigma for artists against, you know, why did you use a reference for that? Why do you not know how to draw a car by heart? Whereas like I can't write about how a car runs without looking it up. So when I'm making these analogies, I'm not trying to make it about writers. This is a presentation about artists, but it's more kind of like think about the approach you take to art versus writing, right? Thinking an artist has to be able to draw anything on command is really kind of silly, right? So, and again, using a reference allows that particular artist to, you know, get those details that allow you to make the art more realistic, bring more depth. It lets you look at things you might used to be seeing on a body. All right, muscles that are different than you're used to drawing, fat, hair, clothing that are different than you're used to seeing, right? To create something that looks more believable. And again, using a reference is not just about using that reference, it's about learning techniques that kind of help you learn how to draw with more confidence later. Sorry, I'm seeing comments here.
In regards to the whole writers and artists thing, I will say I definitely agree that you can compare the two. Like what you said with writers, like, you know, reading lots of other things and taking inspiration from that. Mm-hmm. It's really not that different from just what artists do, which is literally just stare at other art and go, I get it now, you know?
Exactly. And again, I actually added a slide that kind of is comparing that. So but it's the same, you know, and again, it's we're not trying to like, this is a workshop about using references. So obviously we're going to be per references here, right? So, yeah, classical painters, here you go. You're all predicting what we're about to say. See how good we are? Classical painters all used models, traced silhouettes, used posing. Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, again, you know, that couldn't have been done without someone like sitting and producing the sketches and the references that eventually turned into that piece of work, right? Landscape and still life artists paint exactly what they see on their canvas. And actually, I want to interrupt here. The basement gremlin, his mother is an artist, and she still does the grid method where she'll take a reference photo and put a grid on that photo and then draw a grid onto a canvas. And then
Yeah, I've done that.
yeah, and then paint exactly like each square of the grid. You just paint exactly what is in that square, and that's how she creates art. And her art is incredibly good, but it could not be done without that particular reference to do with, you know. And it's again, you know, it's people are still, you know, looking at a thing and then painting exactly what they see, right? And Disney animators, again, and we actually have some examples about the ways that the Disney animators have just used real life photos of real life scenes and real life people to sort of build that the basis of their animation. So the point here being, using references is a completely normal and valid tool for creating art, again, as long as the credit is given, and we're going to talk about how to appropriately do that as we go on, right? So here you go, everybody. You know, you should all kind of recognize who this particular character is, unless you're too young for that.
Thanks, Sev.
Can I ban toast for 5 minutes? But here are some others, right? Here are actually, you know, photograph scenes that Disney animation has been based off of for, you know, these older movies where they pulled it in. And then here's, you know, an actual live workshop where people are learning to draw off of, you know, live models. I mean, this is, you know, it's a fanfic trope for a reason, right?
My mom did nude modeling for an art class in college once.
That's actually awesome. Like, yeah, good for her. But I mean, it's it's a very real learning to draw off of a real human body. You know, is one of the best ways that you work. And then one of the examples that I put in, I don't know, the game Stray. You know, no one walked into looking at Stray and expected these people to know what a cat not only looked like, but, you know, behaved like, and how they would react and whatever. And one of the most interesting things I found about this game was it's based off of, they had 2 office cats, all right? And like they based the animation on one of them, but not in a mocap sort of way. In it, the cat was a reference, and they used the behavior of the cat as a reference, not only to develop the animation, but to say, you know, something drops from above, how does the cat react? And that was how they programmed the game cat to react. And one of the things that this is one of the things that I thought was the most interesting in this interview. The office cats started reacting to the in-game cat and meowing back at it, and like that was kind of when the team. Cute. I know so. Even with an animated game like Stray, you know, no one is expecting this kind of art to happen without an in-life reference. So there's, you know, nothing morally wrong with looking at references to build the kind of art that you want to see.
I have an addition to this as well.
Yes.
I didn't add a slide because I found it like today or yesterday or whatever.
Well, that's okay, because I think we have 69 slides right now, so I think...
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I copied the wrong link.
Oh.
It's a link to a Twitter account. Copied the wrong link again. Of what the animators on Arcane did, and they did the same thing as like the Disney animators. They filmed actual people doing the movements, and then studied exactly what they were doing, like how they flexed their muscles, how different things moved, how their faces looked while they did these things, and like strained to do whatever, and they used that for their animation.
Yeah. Well, and like, you know,
that is not it. What the heck? I swear, I copied this like 4 times. Hold on. Give me a second.
Well, and I mean, it's, you know, mocap like is its own kind of reference, which is good, but like, you know, this. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. I love seeing this kind of thing.
It's this link is just to one video, but the whole account has examples exactly like this, and it's really cool to see.
Okay. All right. So yeah, again, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm more trying to tie the arts together, right? Using references for artists is like a combination of for writers, doing research plus having a beta or an editor, okay? You know, because a reference, it's kind of something that you're checking your own work against that's not just from your own brain, right? You know, so for writers, you can do your research, but then you're kind of having this outside person looking at you. For an artist, you had this outside person who does the work first, and then you're sort of using their work to make your own thing. But they're all sort of filling this same kind of function here, right? Sorry. Yeah, so actually one of the things we're, again, in the future is about, you know, making your own references and how to do that. So, oh, come on. Come on, computer. There we go. Right. So when is it appropriate to use art references, right? When you need specific help with, you know, something specific of a part of the body, all right? Either you were drawing something, some proportions or a body shape or a body style that you maybe aren't used to, or you're not necessarily fully in command of, you know, understanding how the human body moves, or you're doing a certain unique pose that you aren't sure, you know, how it's going to affect certain parts of the body, right? When you're drawing an object that you don't have a lot of experience with, right, like a gun or a vehicle, and, you know, I'm reminded of this stupid art that I drew for the Basement Gremlin, which was, you know, Frank Castle's a Disney princess, right? I definitely traced a dog. I definitely traced a gun because I can't draw dogs or guns, okay? So, and like I was real upfront about it. I was like, I traced this fucking gun. But, you know, unless you have a lot of practice with complex things like that, you're not going to be able to just pull one from your head fully formed, right? And so that's the point where getting a reference is, you know, 100% understandable. When you're drawing fabric or clothing of a specific kind and you need to understand kind of how it falls in the body, how it wrinkles, that sort of thing. And then again, these are, I think this is our cunty 1980s Connor, right? But again, you know, here's references of how the trousers looked in the 80s, how they worked with the shoes. And, you know, it's not necessarily like copying any one of these. It's more, you know, giving a better understanding of how the fabric worked and how that particular...
There's a very specific look to 80s pants, okay?
You are not
I needed
wrong.
to capture that.
Absolutely.
Oh, kind of a disclaimer for this workshop. People are like the only thing I draw. So the vast majority of what I talk about is like human bodies and stuff. Stuff for like backgrounds or like, I don't know, inanimate objects. I can't help you. I don't know. Look at a picture. Follow my workshop and just look at a fucking picture.
So okay, here actually this is the one I've decided I'm copying this into the chat because this is everyone's homework assignment. Specifically toast, but I
literally just looked up stock image photo or like stock photo, and that was the one that came up, and I was like, yeah, okay, that works.
Oh my god, my computer is so slow right now. Will you please post this? Will you please post it in the chat? Yeah, draw 60 like this. I'm trying to send it to you. With like last workshop, the assignment was Marcus's Badonkadonk. Okay, this is the assignment this time, right? Oh my god, my computer is dying. Yes, any character that you like. I said it was 60, but you know, any specifically, oh my god, can you please don't crash on me? There we go. Yes, you did. We actually had like a couple Marcus Badonkadonks. It was a very good workshop. But yeah, when you find a pose that you really like that's not necessarily a common pose, like this particular artwork, right? And it's in a reference that's okay to use, which we're going to kind of touch on in a little bit. And you want to, you know, take that and imitate it. It's really, why is it not pasting? I've pasted this like 4 times and it's just refusing. Maddie, help me. Because my computer's having a hernia.
Let me see if I can just find the image again.
Yes, if you can find it and drop it in the chat, then we can make people draw it as a homework assignment.
I will say, you said use a reference for unusual poses. I would straight up just use it for any pose.
That's
just
true.
So that I could be like, okay, I'm getting this right, you know?
Toast as us. No, but you're absolutely right. You know, it doesn't have to be an unusual pose. If it's a pose that you like, you know, that's 100% And again, inspiration in the color scheme, inspiration of whatever you find in another image. Here's an interesting one that actually I like that Maddie added. When, you know, the particular reference that you're using gives you a better understanding of what you're doing, okay? People make tutorials and they make them for a reason, okay? And, you know, that reason is they're kind of trying to show you what to do. So in this case, this isn't someone just showing you the final picture of a hand and saying, copy this, okay? These are steps on, you know, how you get to that level of lighting or shadows or coloring, right? So, you know, if you want to get here and you've got a reference like this, it's absolutely, you know, it's not only fine to use, it's called a tutorial. So this person obviously made it hoping that people would be able to use it, right? When is it okay to use a reference? Any and every time you want to make art, pretty much. Pretty much meaning all the time. Oh, okay, we got it. There you go. Homework assignment, get on it. So here's the alternate question, right? When should I not use art references? Jay. Oh, good. Oh, Jane Toast. All right. Actually, I need someone who's not an artist to draw a version of this. Like, pretty please.
Please.
Just, you know, if I was not giving the presentation, I would be drawing it right now because it would be horrible. So, alternate question. When do you not use art references, right? Couple things to talk about here, right? When it's someone else's art and you want to trace it, and we're going to actually get into using other people's art as inspiration versus a reference versus whatever, but the main thing here is just don't trace another artist's final work unless you are explicitly given permission to do so. This is called art theft in the community. It's just not a cool thing to do, and there's a lot of reasons that it's not cool to do, but one of the, you know, as the screenshot here shows, like, other artists have their own interpretation of things. They do make mistakes, but also they have their own stylistic decisions that get made, okay? And so if you're using another artist's final art as your main reference, then you're not going to be learning as much as you might when you're looking at, you know, a proper photo or a proper reference or whatever, okay? Second, when an image is copyrighted or protected somehow and you're gonna, you know, loudly do some commercial crimes with it, okay? Now, fan art is a gray area because stuff like fan art is protected by fair use clause. However, you know, you still have like Disney taking down fan arts that are being put on shirts to be sold, okay? So like, there is a gray area and it gets confusing and whatever, but the point is that there are so many references that are not only free, but like put out there specifically for your use, that if it's not clear whether this image is something you can legally use, just like kind of don't touch it, you know, like don't bring the legal department down on your ass, right? And what's more here is like, say there's a photographer who's put up a bunch of photography and it's copyrighted to their name because it's their work. Don't use that as a reference. Go find something that someone specifically put up to be used as a reference for free, right? 3, using photos online of random people who didn't consent to having their photo used, right? You're scrolling your Facebook or your Instagram and you see a picture of 2 friends and they're hugging each other and you think, wow, that would make a really cute picture of my pairing, okay? Those 2 people didn't consent to have their photo used for your artwork, all right? And unless you're gonna specifically reach out to a stranger and be like, hey, I really like that. That looks like my Marcus Connor pairing. Can I draw it? Which I don't think any of us really wanna do in real life, right? Just stay away from doing that, right? And the last one being when the image is
I was gonna say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You're faster than I am. I was gonna say, not to mention, there's like an infinite amount of pictures online. You can find another picture of people hugging, you know? Mm-hmm. Or if you really like that specific pose, like, I don't know, fucking use a 3D modeling program or something.
Yes, there are so many other ways to do it.
And at that point, you might be asking, well, then what's the difference? No one's going to be able to tell if it's, you know, you're drawing at the end. But I don't know. I guess the point there is like, if the people can tell that you traced like an actual picture of somebody else, that's going to be weird, you know?
Yep.
Whereas if you do like make it your own, which is what something we're going to talk about later, then that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. And the last point here being when the image is AI or machine learning system generated, right? And the point here is that AI can't tell the difference between real and not. And the AI machine learning generative AI that exists right now, they've been trained on everything that's out there, okay? That includes real photographs, that includes formal art for museums. It also includes, my niece's scribbles, if they've been posted online, and it includes actual trash, all right? And so there's absolutely no guarantee that an AI or an LLM is going to be able to produce a reference that's as useful as a genuine one that you can find elsewhere made by somebody who knows what they're doing, okay? And this brings us to our first mod slide, okay? This is a workshop about using references. The workshop itself is, again, no moral judgment, open. It's just kind of what you do. However, because we're presenting it within the framework of this bang, we kind of want to clarify certain points as we go on that apply to the event specifically. So what's important here are the following 2 points. If you trace or copy another artist's final work for the bang, that's not cool, all right? And it's probably going to result in penalties. And that's because in most online fandom art communities, if you base your work off of another artist, again, final work that they put effort into, it's art theft, and that sucks, all right? That makes you sucky. And additionally, using any AI in any way for this event, art or writing or whatever, is not cool, and that will also result in penalties. And we're going to talk about this towards the end of this presentation once we kind of get through the reference point. But we wanted to throw this up as we go through here. Oh, Mama, sorry, I don't know. That was my cat.
I heard. It's so cute.
She has things to say, I guess. So, here's an example of the only actual cool way to ever actually physically copy another artist's art. All right, we're all familiar with Maddie's little creatures, right? Started out with the Connors, and it's spawned to basically every character from DBH has been made into a creature. All right, but the way that this happened was Maddie specifically DM'd this person and said, "Can I have this? Like, can I trace this? Do you mind?" Like, basically saying, I will give you credit for it, and also you are free to say no, okay, which are 2 very important things to say, right? And they kind of came back and said, yeah, sure. And so, Maddie, I'm pretty sure every time you've posted this, you've actually credited either the artist or the post specifically, right?
Yeah.
And that's...
I'll at the artist and then link the post that it came from.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, this, and if you were really, really dying to copy something like this, that is, really, you have to talk to the original artist, right? So here we start to get into a little bit of not really gray area here, but Sev, hey, what if I really like this other artist's like style or take or the way they draw this thing or whatever? And this is the thing, fan artists, like writers, like the rest of fandom, it's a community, all right? We share because we love creating and we like the canon. And if you want to take inspiration from other artists, from other people out there, taking inspiration, looking at art, that's only going to help you grow, and it's going to help you know what you like, probably help you learn what you don't like, right? Help you develop your own style. And the key is to identify the line between, inspiration and copying. And what I've added here is one of my own fandom art crushes. Okay, Wise Snail is one of my favorite artists in the entire world. I'm obsessed with their art. And anytime that I decide that I'm going to try to fumble around with art, I'm so inspired by the way that and you can see that, like, they use references and make it their own. We all know, we've all seen the umbrella pick from Good Omens, all right? We've all seen that particular scene from our Flag Means Death, right? These are all based on references, and yet they very obviously turn it into their own work and very obviously have their own style. And, like, I think it's gorgeous. And sometimes when I just decide to fuck around, I'll use it for inspiration. However, it'd be very obvious if somebody tried to copy this style, okay? It's a very specific style. And so, like, you can look to other artists for inspiration, but, like, if I came out with a piece of art and it had circles and lines drawn behind people and stuff like that, it would be very obvious who I'm trying to imitate if you're familiar with this particular artist's work, right? Well, of course you didn't, Toast. I'm going to capture Toast. I'm going to force you to watch Good Omens. So the point here being 3 points, right? Tracing another artist's art directly, not cool. Mimicking another artist's, all right? And this is sort of, all right, like, by mimicking, I mean your art is the same pose, the same lighting, all right, the same setting, the same sort of setup, and it's very close to copying. The point is, does your art transform their work into something that you can call your own, right? I need to move this chat again. This is not going well for me. Okay. Chat's gonna go there. So, well, all right, we're not talking about that now. That's very complicated. So, you know, mimicking another artist's particular art, all right? But the thing is that the use of common references can complicate that, because sometimes artists use the same reference, and we're going to talk about that later. And also, art you do for learning is a gray area, because if you practice your own art and never post it anywhere, who knows, you know, does it matter? And that's a question that also we're going to kind of talk about later, right? The major point being, using another artist's work is like inspiration as a style guide, or if you're pulling together multiple references of things that you like to sort of develop your own style or whatever, that's okay. The 2 points being, if another artist's piece has heavily influenced your own work, you should probably share a recommendation to give them credit, and to, you know, just kind of say, hey, I think this art's awesome. You know, you should look at it too, right? Or again, if you're truly inspired by a single piece, reach out to that artist and see whether you have permission to use it as a single influence. And the point here being, like, you know, the Creature Connors, like, as much as we like creatures, I don't think that was maybe that artist's like magnum opus, right? So it's probably pretty easy for them to say, yeah, that's okay. You know, you can use this, you know, to make your own thing. If you reach out to an artist who has spent, you know, 30, 40 hours on a full piece of work, you know, with a detailed background and lighting and whatever, and you're like, hey, can I trace this? You're probably going to get a different answer.
True.
Right?
I have an addition. We're talking about getting inspiration from other artists and other pieces of art, and it kind of goes with what I was saying earlier with artists looking at other pieces of art and going, oh, I get it. That literally is part of the process of making and understanding art, just like writers and reading other shit. Looking at other art is just kind of how it is, and so it's completely natural to be like, oh, I really like, I don't know, the way this person draws noses. I'm going to try that myself. And that is completely normal, but also completely different from going, I like everything about this artist, I'm going to copy them completely. That's not really working on yourself. That's kind of taking someone else's time and energy and, you know, spent putting into learning their craft.
Well, and then I was going to say, that's the kind of the note where I said this is the same for writers, and I've seen more in Marvel fandom, and we're not going to, you know, drag everybody into Marvel fandom, right? But I've seen these 3 different levels here, okay? Like, directly copying somebody else's fic idea, right? I have seen people take a popular fic, find and replace the character names, and then change a couple verbs here and there. Oh my God! Okay.
I love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hold on, I'm scrolling back so that, like, the recording can capture this in full. Okay, yes.
He's on the phone with Amanda.
He's buying on a 51 Connor. Oh my God, I love it here. But anyway, like, directly copying somebody else's fic, that's plagiarism, right? But being inspired by other writers' work is perfectly natural. Like, I can name fics that have actually changed the way that I write, just because of the way that they did things and the way that they approached things, you know?
AO3 even has that inspired by function.
Exactly. Well, and that, you know, there's this gray area, right? I was in, it's actually one of my first Discords where I learned a lot of lessons about how to mod and how not to mod. And you know, people would talk about an idea that they had and they were working on. And then somebody else would, like, write something that was, like, kind of similar. And then when they got asked, they were like, well, I was inspired by your idea.
Oh.
And it was like, well, it wasn't directly plagiarism because the other one hadn't been published and it hadn't been whatever. But like when you're using something as inspiration, sorry. I keep getting distracted, but there's a step of inspiration where you really should just credit the person that did inspire you and say, hey, this was awesome. I loved it. I'm basing my work on that. Just like as is right here. So this is actually a Toasty slide, but this is again a sort of like how to be inspired by another artist without necessarily like copying that artist, right? So you like the way a particular artist draws hands, go through some iterations and see, if you can imitate them or learn something from the way that they draw without, again, directly tracing their work, right? Here's inspiration for a color palette, which I do all the time. I take color palettes from photography, I take color palettes from art, I take, all kinds of different things like that. But again, you're taking it and, adding it to this wonderful piece here, which, I guess is Marcus post-apocalyptic Detroit or something. That wasn't me, Toast.
That was me.
That was Maddie. That was totally Maddie.
I did it while my husband was in the room, and he was like, whoa, hey, because he's also European.
Even better. I'm telling you, I was going through it, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, beautiful, perfect. But again, here's like looking at a composition and using the composition as inspiration, but you aren't necessarily directly reproducing what is there, right? And then, I forgot I gave you this. I'm sorry. Well, this is what happens when you give Toast too much space.
Thank you, Toast.
Yes. So anyway, I hope this is none of you out there, but I know that this is, that's a different workshop as. But again, since this is like going live and other people are going to watch this and whatever, I'm sure somebody out there is going to be like, what's the real difference between using a posed photo or a sketch for tutorial as a reference and using somebody else's finished art as a reference? And like, just to be serious for a second, if you really can't figure out the difference here, I need you to take a step back from art and like think about what you're saying, okay? Because you can't copyright a pose, you can't copyright a gesture, you can't copyright, the feelings or dynamics of a piece. But one of these is an object specifically created for fair use for you to use. And the other one is this years of work and practice put into like learning how to make art, the hours put into that art itself, and it's posted without permission to be used for anything else. Okay, so like it, if this is really a confusing line for you, then you maybe need to like reconsider how you're looking at fandom stuff as a whole, because it shouldn't be a gray area. All right, it's pretty. And again, like Maddie and I have been saying this whole time, there are so many resources that are made free and available and easy to use and posers and everything that there's really no reason to like cross this line, right? To, again, where it's not using an art as inspiration, where you're copying somebody else's art. Like, no, it does not. That's a lie. Anyway. My American ass. Okay. No, my American ass will fight you.
You can make art that's really like really low quality just for funsies, and that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
But to take something that someone else has put their time and effort into is just really showing how you don't actually value what art really is. Mm-hmm. So that's why you need to take a step back and reevaluate how you actually see art. It's not just, ooh, pretty picture. It's someone put their time and effort into this in a world in which time and effort is hard to come by.
Yes. Nope. Couldn't have said it better. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I ate one worm. That's different. That's different. I'm muting Toast for 5 minutes. You're going in timeout. All right. So how are we going to find these? Okay. All right. You know what, you guys? You got 30 seconds. Get it all out of your system. 30 seconds. I'm timing you. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is weird to some people, isn't it?
Wait, what?
For for martini.b. Is it teen or is it tine?
That really kind of depends because, like, technically, I think it's teen because it's short for Martine. So
Yeah.
I say teen. I say teen in my head. So if that's not right, then tell me.
Okay.
but
Point
like
being, I
technically,
agree with teen.
I'm fine with whatever.
Okay. All I was gonna say was I agree with teen. Mold with a U is stupid. It's MOLD.
I see Jay still off mute. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, well, no, I was going, like, just to be available in case I had comments, and then Mom started talking about cactus soil, so I muted.
No, I want to hear what she has to say about cactus soil. I'm very interested in
Hey, Mom, what do you have to say about cactus soil?
I mean, shit.
Anybody needs to go to the
right now. I
can-
bathroom.
Oh, she said hang on, she doesn't-
Break.
Yeah. She's running the sink. I have to hang on because she can't quite hear what I'm saying. Oh my god, she's running the sink for fucking ever.
Alright, well, you know what?
What are you gonna say about cactus soil?
You did all the last time I recorded everybody.
I have no idea. Well, you might need to get new cactus soil.
Yeah, I figured
Is there anything we can learn from this?
Pat put it
Yeah,
back in.
yeah.
And I'm gonna put her in a different pot.
Uh-huh. Well, why not one of the pots I got?
That's the idea.
Okay, well, fine. Fuck
Well, it
you.
says it has to have a hole for drainage and
Yeah.
hole.
Oh my god.
This is my cactus hole.
You got a cactus
Alright.
hole?
We're not even halfway. We gotta go.
Okay.
We got 69 fucking slides to get through here. Everybody say nice.
Oh, nice. Nos.
Not Jay.
So- it's fair. I'm not blaming J-Mom. I'm not blaming any of you. We're the ones who made this workshop so fucking long, right? So how on earth do I find references, right? Now, the best part is at the end of this presentation, Maddie has prepared a gigantic document full of places that you can find references. But, even without diving into that, there are tons of accounts online that specifically offer photos or drawings of poses. So, like, you can not only get a direct photo reference of a person, but you can get somebody's sketch interpretation of that, right? They're both available. There are websites that offer human poses or images of different objects for daily sketch practice. And, back when I thought I was going to learn how to draw, I've been to a couple of these where they put up a different pose or a different image every day. And they're like, draw this in 5 minutes. And they start a timer. And you have to do your best to kind of draw it in 5 minutes. More, serious references being tutorials, PDFs, and books, either online or at your library. There's probably an embarrassing number of people on this call that own the How to Draw Anime book from the 2000s, right? It's like, these references exist, and Toast, you weren't alive in the 2000s, okay? So... yeah, I would say even if we didn't own it, we all remember them. We've all seen them, right? And they exist specifically again as references, right? There are 3D modeling apps where you can pose the models yourself into exactly the pose you want. Stock photos. Okay, people laugh at stock photos, and you don't necessarily, they're not, maybe the most beautiful of things, but they were specifically made for free use. Stock photos specifically exist to be used any way anybody wants to use them. You want to learn how to draw, in the style of Roman sculpture, museums have open access websites, right? Just, you can go and look up all kinds of things. A lot of them have, if not 3D models, they have pictures of sculptures from different angles too, so you can learn that way. You need a reference of a hand making a specific pose. Oh my God. Sorry. It's beautiful.
I'm gonna die.
It's beautiful. It's a work of art.
God damn it. Fucking clown feet.
I just love that he's on the desk without shoes on. It's like Connor lost his shoes in Cyberlife Tower.
Like all this was a mistake.
Yeah. Hank in the background holding one shoe with like a question mark over his head. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god. So this is what makes these workshops worth it. The homework assignments. Anyway, you need a specific Hank will know the difference. Oh no. My name is Connor. I'm the stinky feet sent by Cyberlife.
What the fuck?
Anyway, sorry, this was beautiful. Again, you can take a photo of yourself to create your own reference of your hand, of a pose, take a picture of yourself in the mirror, whatever. And then, you can make your own reference. Like, a couple friends and I decided we were going to make a silly little video game just to kind of proof of concept, see what we did. And I built all the houses of all the characters in The Sims, right? And then I took screenshots and I sent them to the artist friend, and she used those screenshots to create the backgrounds for our video game, right? Oh my god. Oh, yes, you're right. It is the Only Feet. We're never going to be free of Only Feet. Mod chat is like free Only Feet content. So here are just a couple of the examples, and Maddie can probably talk about these more than I can, but it's just, these are, and I'm assuming this is all included in the document, but the point is these are specific sites that create references, be it posed actual photos or sketches of poses or whatever, and the whole point of these is that they want you to use them for your art, right? That's like the whole point of having these out there. Okay, here's 575 different posts that specifically are for artists to be able to use to make better art, right? It's out there.
It is all indeed in the document. Yes.
Some different ones. There's some sketchbooks, and then this is kind of getting into 3D stuff, right? And actually, I want to, kind of shout out Magic Poser. I know, Maddie, this is the one you use. I tried Magic Poser. One of my best friend artists, Mock Speed, if you know them from Marvel or Star Wars. And actually, Mock Speed is the one who taught me all of the Google coding that I know. So they're half of the reason that the Bang even exists in the first place. But they use Magic Poser. They got me on a Magic Poser. I suck at Magic Poser. I'm so bad at it. I have not figured it out yet. But it's an incredible resource once you know what you're doing. Like, Moxby can use it to, get a scene in like an unbelievably short amount of time once you know what you're doing. It's incredible. So, and I mean, these programs are just, it's, they're all available, they're flexible, they're out there. Literally just
one of my favorite Detroit Become Human artists uses models. Not on Magic Poser specifically, but uses models for help with posing. Miss Daichi.
One of my favorite Good Omens it was a comic artist I followed for a year, and then they posted they were like, do you want to know about my process? And they posted it was literally a screenshot from Magic Poser that they were tracing, and I was like, what? How are you and it's amazing the kind of stuff you can do with that, right? So you can just, look some shit up. It's online. There's plenty of it. It's available. And again, you might have an idea in mind and then go looking for reference images that fit that idea. Or you might be browsing images and find that image and then get inspiration from that. And these are both completely valid ways to look up and find references that you want. Yeah, and then the next bit is getting into using multiple references. You can get a reference of a car, and you can kind of either trace the car, you can use it as a reference to draw the car from that one angle. So you've drawn the car from that one angle. But if you got a couple images of what cars look like from different angles, then you kind of have a better idea of what's important, you know, when you're looking at a card dead on, what is it that you see? When you're looking from the side, what is it that you see? And so that kind of helps you be able to pick up a, you know, it's not just what do you see in this flat image, what does the car look like in a 3D space? And I keep bringing up cars because, like, we've all played Pictionary, right? We've all drawn the shitty car in Pictionary, right?
Yeah.
Cars are hard to draw. Like we've all done the shitty, like, beep beep, you know, Richard Scary car.
Cars and guns suck.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. All right. Combining reference photos. Are you kidding? You have to have played Pictionary.
Are British people real?
Everyone says play Pictionary.
Do they not have it in England? Like, I
Jay, Atra, and Toast play Pictionary.
yeah. Apparently, we're all gonna have to play Pictionary. I couldn't escape it. I didn't want to play it. No, we should play what we should play is Gartic Phone. Yeah. The Pictionary that's like telephone, that's the one we should play. That one's really good. Okay, well, Pictionary is like Gartic Phone, except it's like you get a word and then you draw it live, and then your teammates have to guess what you're drawing live. So, that's the point. The point is that it's bad. But, like, anyway, we are so off. Okay. Maybe it's called something different over in Europe. It's called Pictionary here. And we're not even to the tutorial part of this. Come on. Keep getting distracted, right? All right, so combining reference photos, and this is actually something that I have tried to do, but I'm not a very good artist, so I'm not good at it. So I agree that, you know, as an advanced method, you know, you take multiple reference images and you kind of make them work together. All right, so let's say you have, and I'm going to use my particular, you know, the goofy thing that I drew for my basement gremlin, where I drew Frank Castle as a Disney princess, right? So I got a reference of somebody in a beautiful ball gown, and then I had to find a reference of John Bernthal's face, okay? And then I had to get a reference of John Bernthal's face that was looking in a way that made sense with the body that I was using, and then I had to size them together to make it look realistic for the picture that I was drawing. What are you, okay?
You may not like it, but that is the ideal body.
You know, you know. Except maybe I'd like longer arms, but other than that, possibly. But anyway, this is about, actually, we're just gonna go the example here, right? So you have, you know, a reference of an upper body and a reference of a lower body, and you kind of want to combine them together, but you can't just like copy paste and like ram fit them together, right? I mean, you could, I guess, but it's not going to make anything, you know, it may not look the most realistic. So you need to know how those particular parts of the body end up fitting together and how they work together. And the point here also being, don't use AI to combine two photos. Okay, if you have, you know, a photo of part of reference, another photo part of reference, it might seem tempting to say, I'm going to put this into an AI and we're going to combine them. But here's the thing. There's no guarantee that it's going to be accurate. You're not going to learn anything from doing that. And you've then fed someone else's reference work into the giant eating machine without their consent, okay? And with all of the issues about, you know, AI using artwork without consent, putting somebody else's work into it to make your own reference is really pretty shitty. So, like, we just want to avoid that altogether. We just, you know, don't want to do that. So if you're going to work with this kind of method, you need to learn to, you know, how the proportions work, how the parts of the body work. You need to learn how to sort of fit these things together to make it work, right?
It's definitely a skill you have to work on.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so here's the tutorial part. We are about halfway. So if you need a bathroom break, get up and go. If you need to get some water, get up and go. If you want to take a drink, get up and take a drink. Sorry, kitten. I still need to see the homework. Everyone get your sillies out, stand up and take a break. I started a timer. We're going to reconvene. Yes, we're going to reconvene in like a minute or so. Yes. Nope. Atro is absolutely right. Like, that's the thing about using AI, is that it isn't just about using AI, because AI is about, oh my god.
Shit. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's so good.
That's so good. I love
so
that.
So good with the gun. Oh my god. These are amazing. That's
what Hank walks up to seeing on the rooftop. He's just like, what the fuck?
It's not like super serious Connor leaning over the edge. It's just that motherfucker.
He's holding his gun like that, and he's like, "You ran out of whiskey, Hank?" Like, oh, it's so cute.
Oh my god. Why are these all so good?
I love how he's pointing the gun at himself.
Oh my god. Amazing. Amazing. This is so... Alright. This is... He's totally with his toes.
It's his version of, like, kicking his feet and giggling while he's on the phone.
I was literally about to say that. When I post these slides, like, when I share the slides for reference, I'm gonna put all of these arts in the back of the slides, so that, like, as your reward for making it through our 69 slides, you get to see all of this fan art.
Hell yeah.
This is so good. All right. Okay. 30 more seconds. Everybody get your stuff out. Because
I'm back, you stupid bastard. I'm so mad that I'm taking this so seriously.
I'm so impressed with you.
The drawing?
He's on a stakeout, Sev. Yes.
Oh my god.
I want... You don't understand. Like, every time I've tried to draw in months, I do a little bit, and I'm like, nah, fuck this. But this is important now.
I like that this has absorbed all the brain cells. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right. 20 seconds till we start. Everyone have a breath, have a drink. Take your art.
I have a massive mug of tea.
We're about to move into the tutorial part of the workshop, for which Maddie has very kindly produced some beautiful references for us.
Oh god.
Beverage, water. All right. How do I use reference images? And we've got 3 examples coming up here, right? Methods.
Definitely not every way you can use reference, but these are the 3 that I could think of, because these are the 3 that I have done.
Well, and it's sort of just spanning the whole spectrum, all right? Method A is sort of like something even I could do, right? And then method C is something that, like, I could very not do. So, but there's method A for a beginner, where we're going to trace an image and then work on turning it from a traced image into something that looks like the character that it's meant to be, right? Method B being intermediate, where, and this is kind of, I think, what most people think of when you think of using a reference, is you've got the reference on the side and you draw what you see, right? And the method C is actually, it's an impressive method. I'm not there yet, but you collect a bunch of images for inspiration and then you turn it into your own thing, right? So, but before we go into method A, we've talked about, references being acceptable to use. We've talked about tracing a bit, but kind of want to address what references are acceptable to trace. And again, we are talking about references here, not artwork, okay? This is specifically things that are made as references, right? And the point being that, most of the accounts that professionally make these kind of references, they know what they're doing, all right? So they're going to tell you up front, you can trace this, or maybe don't trace this, all right? It's going to be in their rules. It's going to, they know what they're doing. They know how people use them, and it's going to be in their rules. So if you're going through an account and you think you're going to have to trace something to get the feeling that you want, review their rules and make sure that you're using their stuff in a way that means you're respecting their work, right? Again, stock photo and copyright free stuff, it is made to be used however you want to use it. That's the point of it. anything you create on your own. You know, you take a photo of yourself in the mirror, you take a photo of your hand, you pose a 3D model in an image, you know, make a sim, you know, design a sim face so that you can capture a sim in a certain phase or whatever. Like, if you've made the reference, then, you know, you don't have to, you made it, so you don't necessarily have to credit it, and if you want to trace it, then it's your reference, right? And once again, the thing is, if you have explicit permission from the other artist, otherwise, that's not cool. We've already been over that part. And this is kind of, you know, something that we sort of wanted to address. There's a stigma in the art community. There's already stigma against using references, right? But there's sort of this mood against tracing. And it's complicated, right? Assuming you're using something that is available to be used as a reference, and you're not trying to pass it off as like, this came entirely from my brain, as that, you know, sprung from my brain as my own creation, as long as you're not pretending that it's that. Tracing is a morally neutral act. A lot of artists learn from tracing. A lot of artists learn by, you know, either tracing shapes or tracing details or doing things like that, right? You know, we all kind of start off doing that, and reference images serve a lot of different purposes. And sometimes, you know, if an artist is going to trace, again, as long as you're not pretending that you came up with this complicated pose entirely on your own, you know, as long as you're kind of saying, hey, I did this, like, there's nothing wrong with tracing. All right, if you want to trace a photo, if you want to do that, you want to use it as a stepping stone into learning how to draw. Okay, the point of using references is to create the kind of art you want. Some people do want to improve to the point where they don't have to use a reference. And, you know, some people just kind of want to make art, right? And we're not making a moral judgment in this particular, in the scope of the workshop, I guess. So, you know, it's your prerogative, an artist, on how you use this particular tool. The point is doing it with respect to the images that are being used and to the people that made those images, right? And we're going to talk about this in the context of the bang in a little bit, but kind of going into the... I'm sorry. The hand or the foot, Jay? Anyway, we're going to kind of get in this, like, in the context of the bang in a little bit, but in general, as an artist, you know, it just, there's... as long as you're acknowledging what you're doing, there's no real reason to feel bad about, you know, if you trace a work, especially if you can do this sort of transformative process that makes it into your own, which is kind of where we're going to go with this, right? So again, here's method A, right? Where you take an image and you put a layer on top of it and you trace that image, right? You can either directly trace it, or you can kind of block out what it is that you see. And this is, again, we're calling it a beginner method because it's usually used when,
Oh my God. Holy shit.
The censored feed is killing me. Oh my God. Is he talking about Hank? He's so much uglier than Connor thinks.
Don't talk about Hank like that. What the fuck?
Oh my God. Does he take PayPal? Oh my God. Oh, wow. Now I see that giving a homework assignment was perhaps a mistake. We're going to be here for 4 hours. Anyway, so I don't know what I expected with this group, you know. Totally unsure. So actually, let's just move on to the example. All right, here's our stock image. It's a free stock image. We can do whatever we want with this, and we're going to take it and we're going to turn this into some 60 fan art. All right, how are we going to do this? This is an old lady. She's almost as old as I am, right?
Hey.
So let's see what happens. All right, first thing Maddie did here was flip it, right? Because 60 is left-handed. And then, this is a very specific trace, okay? This isn't just, generally outlining shapes or whatever. This is specifically tracing what's in the image, all right? Totally fine. So here on the right is what it looks like, all right? Looks like the stock image. Doesn't necessarily look like 60. So what are we going to do with this? So here's what we do. And I'm not going to read every word on this slide because obviously everyone's attention span is getting shot, right? But the point here is using your knowledge of how these things work to turn that tracing into the character that you're trying to draw, all right? And again, the examples that Maddie's giving here, the ears are going to be different, okay? The fingers.
His fingers are going to be different. Mm-hmm. The material of his jacket, the placement of wrinkles, stuff like that.
Yep, the placement of wrinkles, even the placement of the features on his face, these are all going to change as you're turning him from this old lady into an RK800, right? And the point being, by here, then we, remove the layer that has that traced on it, and it's still very obviously based on the stock image, but it's been transformed into an image that is not just a tracing. It has gone through this process to make it look actually like, Connor or 60, we all know it's 60 because he's holding a gun. But that's kind of how, this process goes. And it's not, you have to have that understanding of how to turn the tracing into, the character that you're looking to recreate, right?
And it very clearly looks like something I made. Like that is just how I draw,
Well, and that was one of the points that I was thinking of, is that if I took this and traced it, my tracing would probably look very similar, okay? But my version of this would look very different, Yeah,
exactly.
It would, I mean, also because I'm not as good of an artist, but like even like considering that, my interpretation would be completely different based on that. And I think that's kind of the line of tracing. Okay, if you trace it and you turn it into something that looks like your style, that's one thing. If you trace it and it just kind of looks like you traced it, then that it's different interpretations, different levels of art, right? This is kind of a first step as you're learning to use references. What you really kind of want to do is learn how to make it look like your own particular work, right? Here's another example. This is actually, let me see if it'll actually paste this into the chat, unlike the other thing. No, it doesn't want to pay. Okay. It's a time-lapse video, but what's interesting in this particular example is that they are tracing the baseline here, okay, from this reference photo, all right? They're tracing the shapes, the posing. Here's an example where they brought in a hand and sized it to be the right size and traced. And then you look at the final thing, and it's very obviously this artist's own unique work, okay? And so this is another way that, like, you can start with tracing, and there is nothing morally wrong with tracing, and it's a very useful tool. And in the end, it ends up being something that's so unique to that particular artist that you can't really necessarily tell that anything was traced there, right? Yeah, and then this is one that you added that I actually really like. This is 3D models that are then used as a basis to add features on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this is Clip Studio Paint as well.
Oh, okay, cool. So again, and this is another, like, sure, the outline of the body was traced, but like, if you gave 10 different artists this, they would not all come up with this same face using the same reference, right? So it's another way you can trace for a pose and for a feeling, but your understanding of art is what's kind of going to make it your own work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so method B. We are moving on to intermediate. We've graduated. Congratulations, everyone. Method B, again, is what most people think of when using a reference, is you got a photo to the side and you're just looking at it and you're drawing what you see, right? And you kind of use this when you sort of understand what you're drawing and you need that image either for like the general shape or like that specific feeling or pose or whatever that the reference is giving. And, you know, Maddie had some nice things to say about this, but I just see like Connor and 60 fighting in the background with Marcus in the front. All right. So
No, that's absolutely what my first thought was. I just didn't write it down.
Well, I did. So I was like, that's all I can see. That's all I can see. So, and this is, you know, this was kind of, back when I was sort of teaching myself how to draw. The important thing here is about capturing the shapes of what you see in the reference. All right. So like you have the shape of the head, you have the shape of the body, and you use the cues of the reference on how things fit together. All right. And like, I don't know if you meant this, Maddie, but like one of the things that I think is curious, right? Obviously, if you look at the picture, the kid's thumb is in front of his face, right? But when you're drawing the shapes, the thumb looks like it touches the chin, all right? And so when you are a learning artist like I am, you use those sort of touch points to make sure that you're like drawing things in the right space in this like first immediate step of like blocking things out. And then like later in the picture...
It's almost like the grid method, but in your brain.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly. It's you know, you can reference like the shoulder is this point to the ear, the thumbs are this close to each other. When you're blocking it out. And then in the next step, you kind of make it clear how they relate to each other in 3D, but like the 2D shapes in this particular thing. So, and again, you're just you're looking at the reference image and you're ignoring Connor and 60 fighting in the background and drawing the shapes of what you see, right?
No, they're playing so peacefully. They're such good children.
You know what? There are no guns. So honestly, for them, that's probably peaceful. Hold on 1 second. Needed water, right? So then on top of that, this is enrichment in their enclosure. So then once you have the shapes, you can come in and you sort of draw your basic outline. And again, you're using that reference to sort of, you know, place things and make sure that, you know, the eyes line up and the ears line up and everything. And then as you move on and, you know, remove the blocking step, you've got a basic outline that you can then work on and develop like you did with our artwork of 60, right?
Well, and even in both cases, I would say this is the rough draft. I'm going to do something more, I'm either gonna just jump into doing the final line art on top of this and like move things around until it looks right to me. Or I'm gonna do another sketch layer on top of this to just further refine it into what I am wanting it to look like.
Yes.
You know, and then I'll do the final line on top of that. This is not the final.
No.
This is me slapping some shit down to get the basic idea of what I want.
Yes. And actually, I loved this, but I want you to talk about this one. But I love this as a concept, so.
What do you want me to say about it?
I don't know.
You make the shape, you draw on top of it.
Sorry.
I saw it on Blue Sky and I was like, this is totally something that I was thinking of whenever I was writing this, but I didn't know how to explain it. It's not really something I do because I'm not that good yet. But it's like, this artist very clearly knows what she's doing. She has her style completely figured out. She just really wanted this pose and this angular look to it. And so she very specifically, I'm using she and I don't even know, sorry. This artist, I forgot what I was saying.
I just like the steps of taking a reference and then blocking it out, and then you kill the reference. And it's like as a, you know, almost a learning exercise, because, you know, I would take that red block and I would fuck that right up. Okay, let's be real. But like, I think, and again, one of the things that like I've been talking about it in terms of like art that you make for the bang and stuff like that is this transformative process, all right? And so this is definitely a transformative. You are blocking out your reference, but then you are drawing on top of the shapes that you've made, and it's sort of helping to turn it into your own thing, right? That's what I liked out of this particular one. So, all right, method C, and this is an impressive one. And this is when you kind of collect a handful of images. I don't want to call it a Pinterest board because Pinterest is shite at this point, right? But it's kind of like collecting a Pinterest board of the thing that you want to draw and then drawing from multiple references, but not necessarily copying any single one. So, you pull together a bunch of screenshots of Marcus's badonkadonk, all right? But then the angle at which you draw the badonkadonk is your own angle, right? And you're just using the inspiration of all these different shots, right? And this being the example, okay, you have all of these impressive, stunning old women that have been booty board. Yes, I mean, genuinely, yeah. But you'll notice that the picture the artist draws is not a direct copy or direct, of any of these arts, but you can kind of see the influence of all the different hairstyles and the hairlines and the wrinkles in the face and everything sort of come together. And that's why this is an advanced one, because you really kind of have to know your proportions and your perspectives and the way that things work to be able to, draw on things at this particular level. But I think it's really fucking cool if you can pull together a bunch of inspirational pictures like that and then come up with your own character, your own interpretation or whatever, or your own version of Marcus's ass, whatever floats your boat, right? Again, here's the important mod slide, okay? And it's something that will got a lot of words, so forgive me. This is not Maddie, this is me talking. This is, and it's something that we'll talk about in the Discord, okay? Using references is always highly encouraged. Citing references is a best practice, okay? And once again, tracing references for things that artists are unfamiliar with, like a car or a gun, again. Or if you don't draw dogs, you want to trace a dog. Like I wanted to draw a dog, so I traced a dog, right? It's acceptable for the bang event if it's a smaller background portion of the art, all right? If it's not like, if the dog isn't the focus of my art, all right? If it's in the background and I'm acknowledging that I'm using a reference, we don't care. We understand. Again, it's like writers doing research, okay? You're not expected to know how to specifically, create a work about a topic, about any topic, right? That's fine. The point here being tracing references to produce the entirety of your bang event artwork is frowned upon. We're not even going to say forbidden, but it's not within the spirit of the bang event, right? And that's because art submitted to the bang is sort of supposed to be, we're looking for something. The whole tradition of the bang is for something unique and high quality for that particular artist. We're looking to capture that artist's style, capture the artist's process. And the artworks should be unique and creative and transformative. And again, I keep coming back to that word transformative, but it's, you're supposed to be generating a new work for this particular event. And again, the mods actually all agree that tracing is a morally neutral act for art in general, but we are a fandom event operating on some principles with our bang. So again, everything that Maddie and I have said about tracing and using references and whatever is true. What I'm saying right now is only in the context of the bang, right? The example method A, again, which was a reference photo, stock reference photo that was traced and then transformed into A, something that was specifically from that artist, and then B, something that specifically was made to represent the character that it's supposed to represent in that event. That was the perfect example of how to transform, all right? So even though it was traced, it was then transformed into that artist's own work. And, again, we're not, the skill police, okay? We're never going to have a gateway where we say somebody is not good enough to participate. But we do want people to know that the bang is focused on that creative process happening between writers and artists, And the point being to create works that are new and original for the fandom. And so we feel if you are taking a photo and tracing that photo and 100% of your art is traced from a reference, that isn't necessarily new and original, okay? And so we just kind of, I don't think anyone's going to do this. I like we hope that we don't have to, that we're talking to avoid. We hope that no one has to hear this. But as we're going through this process, like, we just kind of want to make it clear that what we're looking for the particular event is new original work. So we are presenting this workshop as a resource on how to, if you are someone who maybe relies heavily on tracing work, hopefully this will help you take that and be able to grow your art into something that is new and original that, you know, will, you know, help you create something new and fun for the fandom.
If I may,
yes,
make an addition. I said earlier that you can make really low effort art just for funsies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one of those times.
You are correct. You are absolutely correct. Yep. The participation in a public event where you work with a team is completely different circumstance. Thank you. Actually, that's a very important clarification. You can, you know, if you are making art for yourself, making it for funsies, that's fine. But, you know, we are a public event, and we have, again, made it clear from the get-go that we kind of are operating on the original definition of being a bang. So, yeah. So anyway, enough of being the no fun police. Should I credit my references? And now you might think yes. And again, we would like it to be yes. We would love you to be yes. Okay. Surprisingly, not necessarily straight up yes. Although again, best practice is to keep the link to the sources you use as references. And we like credit in general just because the lowest common denominator, it helps other people find references. You know, they go to the site you use, they're like, hey, there's a bunch of other cool references here. Let me click around, right? Maddie made a note here. The Pinterest is kind of just slop at this point. All right. So, if you're on Pinterest and, you know, you find an image on Pinterest, it probably didn't originate on Pinterest. It probably came from somewhere else. So, if you have to link to a Pinterest post as a source, that's fine. But like, it's usually best to see if you can kind of backtrack from Pinterest and figure out where that came from. Sorry, 2 minutes. I need water. Again, most of the accounts that we've been referencing, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Anything on Pinterest, like, there's another place where it lives. So you can link back to that and find it somewhere. If you use a pose from a pose account, again, these pose accounts know what they're doing and they know what people use their resources for. So like, it's probably in their rules how they want you to credit them. All right. And again, this is the example from Adorka Stocks. They make it clear, like, if you're using it in a photo manip, definitely give credit. If you're using it for reference, you don't have to, but it's appreciated. And again, all these websites that are created for that purpose, they'll probably tell you straight up, like, credit this, credit that, at the account, don't at the account. Like, they're going to tell you how to do it. You know, if you get a post from, you know, a certain 3D website, again, sometimes they make them knowing that people are going to use them for whatever. Sometimes they make them, you know, saying, hey, you know, we expect you to credit this as used in a reference. Oh, come on. Oh, actually, yeah. And Maddie, I want you to chime in on this one, right? Stock photos or free photos that are used, like, you don't actually have to credit it. However, Maddie and I both seen, like, twice in the last couple weeks, cases where multiple artists use this same photo as a reference, and then people thought they had stolen art from another artist because they weren't aware of the common stock photo that was used as a reference. And
yeah,
now that, you know, it's complicated, right? Because both of the pieces of art came from the same stock photo. you know, as a reference. But like I said before, copying another artist's work is viewed as a red flag. And so if people aren't aware that it came from a common reference and they see something and they think that somebody copied an artist, they get mad, all right? Because like that,
they might just immediately attack you instead of asking around to be like, hey, was this stolen? You know, like hold on, which one was it? The second one. No, it was the first one. The first one where I thought the art was stolen, I ended up sharing it with some friends, and I was like, was this stolen? It looks exactly like something else that I've seen. And they were like, no, I've seen the original image. It's not stolen. And so I felt very lucky that I didn't immediately be like, this art was stolen, you suck, you know?
Yep.
Because that would have been unfortunate for everybody involved. But at the same time, none of that would have happened if they had just, you know, been open about the fact that there was a reference image.
Yep. And now, if you use the same reference image as somebody else, you know, and you get accused of like stealing art, you can be like, no, here's my reference image, whatever. Like, sure, you're in the right, but like that process kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, it's usually a good idea if you're, even if you're using a free stock photo that you legally, technically don't have to cite, it's good practice to put it in there just so that nobody jumps down your throat. Like, I saw another art that looked just like this. Who do you think you are? And you're like, I think I'm a person who used a stock photo. So it just, you know, again, basic good practices.
It saves you pain later on down the road.
And then, you know, here we're moving in the tips here. Like if you're using a stock photo or a free image online, consider, you know, changing it up a little, again, because if it's a popular reference photo or a popular image or whatever, the chances of that happening, you know, you have an opportunity, is how I'll put it. You have an opportunity to change something a little bit, to tweak it a little bit, or to use the technique we were talking about earlier where you combine two reference images to make like a more unique reference that you're using, to make it something that's a little more original, a little more yours. And it sort of, you know, helps again with that transformative aspect of making the art less about the reference and more about what you're drawing and your particular style. And here we go. Here's my favorite, right? Excuse me. If you are using a 3D modeling program, and again, this is about, oh, sorry, hold on. Yeah, yep, exactly.
It is the opportunities cover. My babies.
It is. Although he's not nearly as cunty in this picture. You added all the cunt yourself.
The image in its infancy.
No, but what's interesting here, all right, is this is a perfect. Well, I mean, he ends up that dress later in the fic, but.
Oh my god.
You know, that's, yeah. It is, yeah. He is, the 80s clothes, and 80s clothes weren't hot. I lived through the 80s. They weren't hot. They really weren't. They weren't great. I had an 80s perm. That's actually worse than eating worms, is that I had an 80s
no.
perm. Okay? Yeah. I did. It did. It was bad. It was real bad. The 80s were the least... Excuse you? What's wrong with you?
There's no sock options in Magic Poser.
Toast is like copying these and putting them on their only feet right now. Okay, anyway, we're talking about crediting. Okay, so like these are examples of references that were made in a particular program. Maddie made these himself, right? So, oh my God, Jay! Potato's here.
He's on a stakeout.
Jay, Potato came in specifically to comment about your art. You are ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
That is the most complete piece I've made in a very long time.
Please write that in
Holy
your
shit.
fic, by the way. Potato's still yelling about it. Oh, QT, I had an 80s perm through the 90s. Okay, by the 2000s I had broken free from it, but it lasted through the 90s. Yeah.
Okay. Libby, you're so real for that. As someone with curly hair who actively tries to dress like a hobbit with like cottagecore clothing, you're so real for that.
See, but
I have the brown curly hair. I'm living the dream. I'm so sorry.
My hair has always been half curly, half straight, and I don't mean wavy. I mean the top half is curly and the bottom half is straight, all right? So, like, it just looked like shit. No matter how I did it, it just looked like shit, which is why it's now short and I just look like a butch. What do you... No, stop eating. No, don't eat. Don't eat that. Excuse me one moment.
Are both of our cats annoying us right now?
He's eating fur off the floor.
Jackie is trying to stand on my keyboard and moving my mouse.
Okay, anyway.
Jackie, I swear to fucking God.
Back to our beautiful example, right? In terms of credit, like, you don't... If these are references that Maddie made in the 3D Poser program, so there's no necessary need to credit the reference because these are references that they made themselves, right? However, it's nice to link to the program so that other artists can be like, hey, where did this come from? And you can be like, well, I built it in this particular program. I don't know if you want to talk about how you built this, because I just think that it's really cool that I can look at this and see how much work went into turning that into our fucking, fic cover. So
I found the picture of that car. I thought it was a good angle, and both like horizontally and vertically. I thought that was good. I opened up Magic Poser. I posed these bitches separately, keeping in mind what I wanted them to be doing, which is leaning against the car. And then I tried to angle it as close to the same angle as I could to keep the perspective the same. And then I edited it all together and I slapped that bitch in a paint tool sai. And that's it. Yep.
Well, and again, there's, all the stuff we've been talking about, combining references, knowing your proportions, knowing how they fit together, making your own reference, like this. Yeah. Can you not? Sorry, my cat.
There was definitely a lot of thought that went into like the angle of them, like how do I make this make sense? Like Hank is leaning on the car, but I can't have him. I needed it so that his entire lower back was against the car. Whereas if I had like turned him, I don't know, XYZ axis, I don't know which one is which. If I had like turned him like 20 degrees some other way, it would look off because then his whole lower back wouldn't be touching the car. It would just be like the side of his back of his hip or something, and that would be weird. So lots of like thinking about how they're angled, where the perspective of the camera is, their size and their body shapes, stuff like that.
Well, and I mean, you've said it multiple times, like the knowing how things relate to each other in 3D is, and I think that's what's. Potato's inviting. Hey, come here. He is inviting himself to this workshop. Would you like to come say hi? Come here.
Hello, Potato.
Come here, Potato. Come here.
The first time I saw a picture of Potato, I did not know the cat's name, and I went, Potato! And then Sev was like, holy shit, that's actually his name. And I was like, no way.
Yes. I want you to make one meow into this microphone. Can you do that? Come on.
Jay, turn your mic on. Sev's asking for you.
He's not gonna be on command. Sorry about that. We'll see if we can get one. Anyway, we're in the home stretch here, peeps. All right. So if you don't have to credit everything, but Hey, you know, you don't have to drag him just because he hasn't jumped in the box yet. All right. We're trying to get him in the box. He's a tiny squeaky toy. He's an idiot, right? So again, if you don't have to credit every single reference photo that you have, why do we want to do it anyway? And I mean, basically, it's just like, if you put out work, wouldn't you want to be credited for it? Like, these people are putting out work. Yeah, he does suck. I'm not arguing that he doesn't suck. He does suck. And
it's the same thing as you wanting to be credited for your own work, because for them it is literally their work.
It's their
they
work.
They have to set up the cameras and set up their little studio and take the picture and edit the picture. It is literally their work. They're putting it out for free,
lighting,
just like
the angle, the everything. Yeah.
They're putting it out for free, just like fan art is, just like fan fictions are. Just because it's free, meant to be referenced, doesn't mean they shouldn't be credited for the time and effort and work that went into the photo for us to make our stuff with.
Yep. And again, yeah, so it's not only like crediting them for what they do. Milo. Oh no. Milo, we have approximately 10 minutes left. Mama, stop quacking. I'm almost done. So yeah, and it's not only about that. Like, for a lot of these, oh my god. Yeah, well, everyone's doing the homework, Noddle.
Noddle. It is not another hour. Stop
It's
that.
It's not another hour, I promise. No. We're almost at the end. I swear to God. We're very close. It's all right. We're almost at the end. Somebody can repost the homework. Who has the homework? Somebody repost the homework. Everyone joining now, your penalty for being late is to do the homework. Anyway, so it's not just about respecting the people who put the work into creating the reference photos. Like, a lot of time, that's their livelihood. So sharing, a reference to that account or whatever could help to support their work. I try to support people when I can, but like right now I'm shit poor, right? But well, because you're toast, okay? Sorry, you're responsible for the homework no matter what. Helping them. A lot of time we joke about visibility being payment, but in cases like this, you may come across somebody who likes the way that they do references, likes the way that they do things, and can help support them. So you're not only supporting the creators, but you're also helping to share with other artists where you got your reference photos from. So it's not just, hey, support this person. It's, hey, I found this great reference. You can also check this particular, site and maybe find a reference from your own. And then, as we talked about before, it keeps you from being accused of tracing somebody else's work. If you used the same photo or a similar photo as a reference, and again, being accused of tracing another artist's work when you didn't, you can obviously show that you didn't, all right? But the accusation still sucks. It's like acknowledging when you use a reference is just kind of the safer, way to go to avoid having to deal with any of that. All my cats have left me now. So how to credit reference photos, right? How do you do it? Tumblr has the read more option. Okay, so you can post your art, so the people who don't necessarily need to look at your references can just see the art, they can reblog, whatever. But people who actually want to know about the references, it's under the read more, and they can click on it and kind of see the details about your particular art. Tumblr's a shithole, but it's our shithole, right? And that's one of the nice things about Tumblr, is that you can link things that way. You can also, use reblogs or replies to, keep your references connected to the main post, right? Other sites like Blue Sky or Twitter, you can post your stuff and then again link it in a comment. The point being that like once you post your art, anything that you want to credit, just make sure that it's attached to that art, whether it is a read more or a comment or a reblog or a retweet or a re-X or whatever the fuck they call it. Like, it, as long as it is connected to that art, so that when someone clicks on the art, if they scroll down, they can kind of see the list of credits and references and things like that. And another thing, we keep saying, check the rules of the sites that you're using. Some of them like to be tagged. All right. Some of them like a link back. Do not tell me it's called a rebloob. I'm going to kill you.
I thought it was called a reskeet.
I'm going to kill you too. I hate both of those. I hate them as much as I hate the B word. I hate all of them. Wow. No.
I just say repost.
No. I hate that as much. I hate it as much as I hate the B word that I won't say. No. Anyway, no, that's not happening. But anyway, the point being, like, as long as your credits are somehow linked to... No, I hate this. We're moving on. I hate this conversation. I'm not to credit your references. I'm sorry, but like...
Can we just talk about how fitting it is that you're dealing with all these rebloob things, you click to the next slide, and it says, do better.
That was me.
That was Maddie, but it is absolutely something I would do. You're not wrong.
The emoji with the fist pointing forward.
Like slideshow clairvoyance.
It's so funny to me. I love that emoji.
But like you see this sometimes, and it's often on people who are like shadily reposting art and like trying to get credit for the art without, they'll be like, credit to the owner, credit to the creator, or like, this image isn't mine. And it's usually people who have stolen art from like another site and reposted it somewhere else, and they're like trying to pretend that it's theirs, but then they have this like shady disclaimer saying, oh, it's not mine or whatever. Like, everybody can do better than that. Like, you can do way better than that. It just, just credit what you use. It's not that hard. Yeah. Credit what you're doing. Okay. So again, here we go. Mod slides. And this is just kind of, again, we've said, if you have to trace something, if you have to trace some details, if you have to trace whatever, we don't give a shit. Trace what you need. Trace that gun, trace that car, trace that dog. Okay, I'm going to come back to dogs, all right? Because dogs are hard. Not that I expect everybody to have a dog in their artwork, all right? But, like, if you are tracing a reference, like, just credit it. Okay, again, and near that artwork post, like, yes, horses, okay, whatever it is. Like, when you post your bang work, you don't have to post your reference right beneath it, but post it in a reply, post it in a retweet, post it somewhere in a comment. Like, you just, be cool about it. And for references that were used but not directly traced, like, you don't have to reference it, but we encourage you to post it just so that other participants can help find their the same resources that you did. And again, writers, we expect you to credit your beta. If somebody went through your work and helped you correct it, like, we expect the writer to credit that person. Okay. Why are you thinking of dog feet? Toast, do we need to have a moment?
I'm spraying toast with like a water bottle right now.
Toast, why? Why are you thinking of dog feet? Do we need to have a conversation? I feel like we need to talk. No.
What do you mean by stubs?
I mean, I've heard feet called dogs, but like, I don't know why that was the first place your brain went. Like, I need a drink.
Because it's toast? Why is there even a question here?
I don't see where the question is.
Toast, you censored your feet. You censored
Naughty
all
feet.
your feet. Okay.
Naughty.
Moving on. Actual final home stretch. Everybody shut up, right? Here we go. Maddie's pro tips. I'd like to pretend it's my pro tips, but it's not. Well, actually, this is true. I actually do keep a folder of like reference photos and stuff.
I need to say, I have added another album onto my phone.
Oh my god, what is it? Is it Feet?
It's Arcane.
Oh, okay.
I watched it like maybe 2 weeks ago, and I already have like a stupid amount of pictures on my phone.
That's good. It's actually on my list to watch. Thumbs up in the chat if you want me to watch it. Real quick. Taking a massive poll.
I also haven't watched it yet, but need to.
Jay?
Jay, add it to the list.
Jay, do we need date night, Jay?
We've already arranged Tuesdays, so once we get through what we have.
I think that would be really fun to watch together, honestly.
Honestly, we could, when I run out of shitty chips, we could like Discord stream it. I'd be down for that. Although I collected, you should all know I collected a whole bunch of weird shit for Atcho this weekend, but
Oh, yeah, your note on this slide about you always intending to keep this in. Yeah, I know. That's why I put it there in the first place.
Yeah, I know you did, but
I need you guys to know how much dumb shit I keep on my phone just to be like, wow, this gives me inspiration.
That's a lot of thumbs up. Okay. Thank you guys. We'll put it on the list. But yeah, I was like, not like I was gonna move it anywhere, but I was like, no, this absolutely has to like get bigger so that I can dunk it. But this doesn't even take into account the pictures on my computer. Which it's different pictures. Well, and that's like mine are usually like on my desktop, but like if I see something like, again, that, you know, like the stuff like we've talked about, it's a cool pose or it's cool colors or whatever, I'll save it into a folder. And again, I'm not even an artist, but sometimes like if I'm thinking about a scene and I want to go back to something that I'm writing, like it, you know, it's very interesting. Also, you know, 1,000 pictures in your DBH folder, that's impressive. I'm willing to bet about 75% of them are Connor. Yeah. Which is weird because Hank is my favorite. Whoa! I've seen screenshots from that website before. Holy shit! But I didn't know what it was. That's really cool. That is actually really cool. I'm overwhelmed, but like that's also really cool. Holy shit. I think I will add that to my document. Yes, that's really neat. Yeah, I'll be looking into that when my computer's not having a fucking hernia. That's really cool. All right. Okay. Another pro tip. Actually, this one I liked. This one, again, as someone who has dabbled in drawing but is not necessarily an artist, this one I think is Maddie, I think this is a good point. Like, drawing with references, you know, is kind of how you learn how something looks and how you do, whether you're tracing the reference or you're just visually referencing the reference or whatever. But I like the point of like every now and then do a drawing without a reference, right? And like see how you're doing. For me, like the number one thing that I would want to draw is expressions, okay? Like characters with expressions, okay? Like, that's the pictures that I see in my head that go along with the things that I'm writing. They're like particular expressions, you know, on faces. So like if I were ever going to learn to draw, that's the kind of thing I want to learn. And so this is exactly like you do some exercises in drawing and then try to draw it without a reference and see how you do. Like, does it actually look like what you want, or does it look like you drew it with your toes? Toast, shut up about my toes. But you know, I think that, you know, alternating between you heard me. I think that, you know, alternating between references and not referencing is like a and again, you know, assuming that you as an Toast likes toes. That's what I just said. Oh no. Oh no. Atro. True. I'm leaving that one to you.
My main point with that last slide was mostly just like, again, with the low effort art for funsies. If you like, again, that's totally fine. It's your prerogative. You do whatever. But if you are wanting to actively work on your skill, that is a good thing to try. Get a sketchbook. Use it for what sketchbooks are actually for, which is just drawing random shit. Do those like 5-minute or 2-minute or 30-second figure drawing things. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. There's a whole thing with sketchbooks these days with having like good finished pictures in them, and it's like, that's not what a sketchbook is for, because that's not a sketch.
People absolutely mix up. They're considering a sketchbook a portfolio. Your sketchbook is not a portfolio. Your sketchbook is your sketchbook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Use it for random scribbling. Use it to learn. It's not supposed to look good. It's supposed to be your progress in this learning.
Why is it Ed that came up with the most horrifying thing we've seen so far? Oh my god. Ed, you are... Okay, wow. What? You should be able to pin things. What do you mean you can't pin things? You're a mod. You can pin
no privilege.
Things.
None. Atro has no privileges.
Atro should have almost every privilege except renaming me. Yeah, see, look, Toast can pin.
That's funny.
Atro, is your computer broken? Like Atro
maybe Atro's broken.
Maybe Atro's broken. Yeah, Teen, can you pin? That's fucked up. Yeah.
That's hilarious, honestly.
Wow. Okay, moving on. Anyway, cuz that's like that's embedded in the mod privilege. So yeah, that's very confusing to me. Yep. Cuz that should be inherent in... What the fuck?
That's wild.
Is Discord having a shit day? Like, okay, well, anyway. Looking at... Again, my computer's having a hernia. Give me a second. We'll look into that. Anyway, we're rounding out the end of the pro tips here, right? And we're about to move into the final mod tip of this particular thing, right? But the point here, and I actually really liked the way that Maddie phrased it, because it works for art, it works for writing or whatever. It is work. All right, it's inherently work. Art's not easy. Writing is not easy. Neither one is easy, but it should be work that we enjoy as creators, right? And there should be value in going through that creation process. And if you find yourself in a place where you aren't valuing that creative process, or you're taking shortcuts, or you're looking less at the creative process and more at like the numbers that you're getting back from it, or the feedback that you're getting back, or you're judging people on the number of comments or whatever it is, like that's kind of, I mean, and it's not that isn't part of the reason that we all participate in fandom, but the point being that like we're all here, we're making something that we're putting effort into, but it should be something that you enjoy, and it should be something
I always think of this one post that's like, the only thing worse than creating is not creating.
No, yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, the only thing worse than writing is when I'm not writing. And again, like that, as a person who's primarily a writer, I can I can say that like there have been big periods where I'm not writing and it sucks, but it kind of sucks because I'm not doing it. So absolutely 100% that.
Something I was gonna add in too is something that because I've gone through spells of that and talked to multiple different therapists about it in the past, and something that they recommended if you find yourself falling into that pitfall is that they said, draw and just sit on it. Don't post it. Don't worry about posting it. Just draw it and look at it and enjoy that you did the process.
Real
and
shit.
Don't post it until later, because that's going to help you with that stressful process of going, oh no, am I going to get hits? Did I get hits? And then you get immediately disappointed. Whereas if you sit on it, you can just enjoy it for a while.
It's like a whole tangent I could go on about how I think getting like numbers on posts online is like detrimental to how we actually view our own creations. But that's a whole other thing that this has already gone on long enough.
No, I mean, it is.
I agree, though.
I would say it is. It's you know, it's its own sort of topic. But again, I've known a lot of people who, you know, go out there and don't get the numbers, and you know, they post something and they're like, well, I only got 3 comments on this and I got 5 comments on my last one, so obviously I'm getting worse, you know. And it's like it's and again, part of fandom is the interactive aspect. We are all out here to interact with other people, to create things and get that feedback and do whatever, and that's been part of it since, you know, again, I'm old. Okay, I was in LiveJournal fandom, right? It's been an aspect before, you know, AO3 tracked your stats. Okay, like you didn't used to know those numbers even. You know, you didn't necessarily know how many people were hitting your stuff. So it is important, but if that is what you're creating for, you're never going to win. You're not going to win the game. By the way, you all just lost the game.
Heyo!
Fuck you!
I love that that's just the undying thing. It goes across all generations. It never ends.
The real test here is
every now and then I go to a swim at and somebody fucking spray painted the game on one of the boulders.
My husband literally walked out right as you said that, and he's so mad right now.
I'm like literally gonna watch every single person leave the call right now. Like,
yeah, everyone just
I am unmuting myself just to tell you, fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I did.
all the YouTube comments.
You're right. We can tell.
I watched this for 2 fucking hours. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Okay. Past that, but QT, honestly, like some of the shit that okay, so I have one big fic, all right, but like some of my silliest things that I have written get far more attention than my serious things, you know, like I'll write a piece of crack and it's like this gets, you know, more people past that. Milo, I'm banning you for 5 minutes.
Timed out.
5 minute timeout for everyone.
You're putting the cat in the carrier.
I am. Orange cat goes in orange cat jail.
Damn.
Anyway, hey, we're almost done. Let's wrap this up. Because it's about time to get serious here, just for like about 2 minutes, okay? Because what we want to talk about, things that have come up, you know, through this thing, artificial intelligence and machine learning systems, okay? And we've said it before in the Bang event, we've said it in the Discord, and we want to make it clear that work generated by artificial intelligence, or I've seen machine learning systems, I've seen LLMs, all right? It's not welcome in the event or the Discord, all right? And using the generate references either to trace or to use when you're creating art or whatever, that's also not allowed, okay? We're providing an extensive list of resources created by Maddie and that all of us will be adding to as we come up with them, okay? This entire workshop is about how to use them, all right? And our Discord has over 200 members that are willing to help you find references, help you figure out how to use them, help you put them together, okay? We offer betas. Betas aren't just for writing, okay? You can call for an artist to help you. I created this reference and I think something is funny about it, or I drew this arm and I don't think it's working out well, or, can you look at my sketch and tell me what's going on? Like, we have so many resources that we just don't want to bring the issue into it, all right? And the point being, the point we're trying to make here, there are arguments to be made for and against AI and machine learning systems and what we're calling AI-generated artworks, all right? There are arguments before and against them. And actually, I've been down a couple rabbit holes, and I've seen a couple that I thought were ridiculous, and I've seen a couple that I thought were rather valid. Okay, the point is that we are not ready. We are not interested in having those discussions right now. We do not want our event supporting, we do not want our event relating with AI or ML at this point in time. All right, we just don't want it. All right, we're not going to do it. So we don't want to start the discussion. We're aware that there are arguments to be made, and again, if this is something you are interested on your own, not as a point to discuss in this particular event, but if you're interested in an interesting take on AI art, I encourage you to watch the video linked here by Doug. Doug is someone who calls himself an AI optimist, okay? He admits that there are flaws in AI, but thinks that it will generally make our society a better take. And this video, it's a fascinating take that walks you through AI, or through copyright law, image generation, fair use, creativity, and just a really in-depth analysis. If you have 44 minutes of your life to spare, it will change the way that you look at AI. So it isn't a conversation that we want to have within our particular event, but if it's something that you are interested in, we wanted to link it for people who are interested in this particular topic to sort of learn more. It just, we're drawing the line here, so that's kind of basically our statement on it. And again, it's not about, is AI good, is AI bad, whatever. The point is that we are offering a plethora of available resources, people willing to help you find resources, people willing to help you do other things. And so we encourage you to take us up on those resources instead. So, what are some art references that you can use? And again, this is basically, in summary, this is this like 2,000 page list of references that Maddie made for us. So
whoa, it's like 30.
It's only 30. They
said 2,000. Like, whoa, I don't have that kind of time.
It's only 30 pages, but it's just lists upon lists of references. And it's open. Maddie references it, and if you have references and you want to text it to them, I'm sure they'll update it with all of the references that you guys provide. Like,
yep. Anytime I post new shit, it auto updates.
So, and again, this is actually already pinned in the workshops channel. But if you forget that it's pinned and you're going through this, you can click on the link that's right in this particular presentation. If you are, for whatever reason, watching my ass on YouTube, the slides will be pinned in the comments to YouTube, so you can go to the slides and you can find it there. Also, why are you watching me on YouTube? But like, I guess.
It's also in my plans to, I have different like sections in there. I'm gonna make one at the very bottom. Hi, Musa. Welcome to the chat. It's in my plans to make a Detroit Become Human specific section of like references of the characters and their outfits and stuff.
I love that.
Like posts that have taken a bunch of different screenshots of whatever, I will put that all in there.
Actually, I have a couple. Well, you probably already have them. I have a couple of the Hank's house screenshots saved from Tumblr.
I mean, if you could save me the trouble from having to find the post.
I I figured you might have him already, but if you don't, I saved him because, embarrassing fact, I was building his house in The Sims, so...
I love that.
No, I did the same thing. I hate that.
So I had like 4 of them saved somewhere else. When I find him, you'll get them. Don't worry.
I'm sure I have reblogged it onto my Tumblr, but it's how do I word it? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it anytime soon.
You have a lot of references. We'll put it that way.
I have a lot of references.
Yes. Okay, wow.
I make very little art for someone with this many references.
We're almost at the end. TLDR. Look at us. Right? So, what have we learned from this particular workshop? I'll wait for the chat. You guys tell us.
Host really likes feet.
Reference is good. Yes, reference is good. I don't know why there's toast.
Okay, Teen is so real about that, though.
And honestly, Hank's bathroom is ridiculous, so...
I hate it. I hate it so much.
The bathtub. Oh my god.
The bathtub, and then, he's got, square tiles, and, I think he has, a stripe on his wall or something. And then a fucking circular mirror? It's so ugly.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that?
David Cage, apparently.
We hate that guy.
Well, we do hate that guy, but...
My husband just went cis men. God.
But, I mean, we provided a bunch of resources, and again, we kind of came into this saying... I don't know, and maybe it's just the fandoms that I've been in, but, there's been this huge, oh, if you use references, you're not a real artist. And it's come on,
what are you talking about? That's just how it works.
My most popular, biggest fic, I spent weeks doing research about the specific composition of soil in California that produces certain varietals of grapes that make certain wines, okay? A lot of time. And people credit me for that all the time. And the same people that do that, think it's weird that people use references? Come on. It's very bizarre.
And I think it was Atro said earlier, classic artists did the whole, what was it, a mirror and a reflection and a sheet. I don't fucking know what it was. But then they traced the outline.
I forget what they called it, but it was a whole device.
So, here's our acknowledgement slide. Some links to some references, some everything. No, yes, toast. Yep. Yes. It's been a thing forever. It's been good. So even, all right, shy or not shy, can everybody get off mute for 2 seconds and give Maddie a big round of applause? Come on.
Thank you, Maddie.
Hey.
That was awesome. Thank you. Well done. And with stuff that is helpful, I think, for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I love how this has been the longest workshop we have done so far.
Well, I knew it was going to be long. Mm-hmm.
Did you think it was going to be 2.25 hours?
No,
I blame you guys.
No.
My workshop was long, but y'all made it worse.
I was gonna say we did absolutely lose focus.
You're definitely not wrong.
Yeah. It was partially our fault for going off on tangents, but
I mean, that's just the mood of workshops in this server.
Somebody once told me.
Oh my
What
god.
happens? We start talking about it and then get distracted by Sev's cats and then get distracted by chats.
well, and then there's
Get distracted by J-Mom.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, there's the J-Mom, there was the toe conversation, there's a lot of yeah. We are
At least it wasn't Monster Munch this time.
Oh god.
You say now.
Monster Munch on toes.
Oh
You're
my
welcome.
goodness. We're still getting art. Look at this.
We want to see this art today for the people that are still working.
I was going to say, it is only 1817 my time. So if you have art and you get it in, like today,
It's going in the video.
I will put every single art at the end of this slideshow. Doesn't matter, good, bad, ugly stick figure. I will put it at the end of this slideshow and credit it. That's your homework assignment. Especially the people who came late, which that's okay that you came late. I'm glad you joined it all because that's really awesome. I love how many of us are here. I think that's cool.
It's not going to keep Sev from using you for labor.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely not. Excuse you. I put shitty chips in my mouth on a weekly basis to keep this community running.
That's a choice you made, though. Like, that was...
Yeah,
that's a choice Sev got bullied into.
Nobody extorted you to do that.
I did.
Nobody said, well, true.
Who wants to see one of the grossest things I bought for Atro to eat?
Oh, God.
I do. I want to see.
All right. Please hold. I have to dig it out of my bags. Hold on. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
I'm scared.
I'm excited.
Y'all are gonna have to see my face when this shit arrives. I hope you know that.
I mean, you could put on a mask.
How would I transport the food into my face hole with the mask in the way?
No, not like a medical mask. I mean, like a horse mask or something like that.
Ski mask. Ski mask is an option.
All right.
It says space meat is typing. I thought it said space meat. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Okay, let me see. Stop sharing screen. Turn on camera. Oh God, hold on. What am I doing?
Stop streaming and go to camera?
I am attempting to. My camera's being a... No, that's right. It doesn't like when I turn my camera on when I've already got OBS open.
Mayo flavored chips. What the fuck?
So it's called Flavor Master Gravy Master.
Huh?
I'm waiting. I don't know if my camera's gonna turn on because my computer doesn't like, because I've already got OBS recording, so it kind of gets bitchy. Well, okay, you know what? I'll just take a picture and I'll send it to the chat. Hold on.
That's it, guys. That's Sev. Sev is just two squares dancing around each other.
You know what? I'd rather that than what I actually look like, so. Here. Where's workshop chat? Here we go. Here you go, workshop chat. 2 words were okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know that stuff.
How does it work?
I like
Just highly concentrated, like gravy syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gravy syrup. Yep.
Yeah, but like, what do you add it to make it into an actual gravy? Like milk?
Water.
Well,
I don't think it's supposed to be a gravy. It says it's like a, yeah, it says it's a seasoning. So I figure you probably put it on like steaks and shit, honestly.
Oh, like marinades.
Yeah, or like marinate shit, probably.
It says seasoning, browning, or grilling. So like you can use it to marinate a steak. You can use it to like make a fake gravy. You can, yeah.
See, but that's what I'm saying. How would you use it to make a fake gravy?
I don't know. I've never used it because it looked gross.
You probably have to
so-
make your own gravy from scratch and use that as like the flavoring, probably, which is a pain in the ass, and I don't know why you'd bother. But you know, oh man, I gotta make this gravy taste like gravy. Let's put some seasoning in it.
I mean, that's why I'm sending it to Atro. I've never had it before. It's probably bad. So
Yeah, I'm very skeptical. Gravy shouldn't really need anything except like.
well, okay. So Atro, here's the thing. I'm also getting you liquid smoke. Okay. Which is
There's no liquid smoke in Britain.
No.
There's liquid smoke in Iceland. What the fuck?
No. So, well, again, we had this.
I think we can get it, but it's like niche. You got to know where to get it.
We had the conversation about like what barbecue means, right? All right, because like in America, barbecue is like a flavor and an action, right? So
Which are two separate things.
yes, you can barbecue a meat, and then there's barbecue as like a flavored sauce, right? So
Yeah.
liquid smoke is what you add when you want something to taste like barbecue without barbecuing it. All right. Yeah. And so I'm gonna get you some. I'm gonna send you the fake gravy and the liquid smoke. So you're gonna have the whole American experience.
Nah, it's sci-fi.
This is going to cost you a lot of money to send.
It is. It is because also I got you a whole tub of fluff.
Oh God.
Fuck yeah.
No.
Make some fucking fluffernutters, man.
What?
Although,
I swear to God, we can buy fluff in Germany now, so it probably is also available in the UK.
well,
I have found it in Iceland once.
the thing is that this is you have to blame Sevdad, all right? Because I'm in the store with Sevdad, and I was like explaining about the kind of things that I wanted to like pick up to send, and we were walking down this aisle because I was looking for there's like this combined like this peanut butter and grape jelly like combination in a squeeze tube where they're in a swirl and you like squeeze it out onto a bread, and it's disgusting. And I was like, I want to find that. And so
Oh no.
well, I've got Sevdad looking for it, and so he can't find it, but he turns to the marshmallow fluff and he picks it up and he just looks at me. And he's like, is this worth the volume? And I was like, I don't care how much I have to pay. I'm sending the fluff. So yeah, you're getting a whole tub of fluff. So yeah. Oh, Toast, I will send you fluff.
Really? Oh my gosh.
It doesn't weigh a lot. It's actually really light. It can't be that much to send. So yeah.
I've always seen it, and I just wanted to spoon it the whole thing.
Actually, I also wish the color ketchup was still around. Yeah. Oh my God! What?
What? That's actually so mean.
That's horrible. Funny, but horrible.
I've had marshmallow fluff once before. It'd be interesting to see if the genuine American stuff is better or worse than the stuff we get, because obviously we have very different food standards.
I was gonna say we do. I'm expecting ours to just be like more sweeter and more garbage, but
Yeah.
I know you don't like peanut butter, so like if it's expensive, I'm not gonna send. Well, you're questionable about peanut butter, but if it's cheap, I am totally sending you the peanut butter and jelly swirly squeeze tube because it's like quintessential American.
It sounds absolutely vile.
What the fuck is a Dickman?
Like, just the idea of mixing peanut butter and jam is fucking horrific to start with.
Wait,
do you not
Wait,
eat
that's not a typical combo?
Like toothpaste? No.
Do you not eat peanut butter and jelly?
No.
My husband didn't either until I moved here.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
It's just not a thing.
Wow, that's
you
like
serious?
American staple.
I was gonna say
Peanut
that
butter and jelly is uniquely and distinctly American.
Yeah, it
Wow.
actually.
Yeah.
but that's
You need to get
I
the
made a
Uncrustables.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich at my parent-in-law's place way back when I first moved here, and they looked at me like, holy shit, the American is doing the American thing.
but
It was so funny.
that's what's fascinating.
Yeah, that's
It is
how
like,
we approach it.
It is the elementary school lunch. Like, every
literally.
kid gets packed a peanut butter and jelly. Like,
No, jam sandwiches here, fine. Peanut butter sandwiches here, fine. Peanut butter and jelly, absolutely not.
oh my god, if I can find an Uncrustable,
Please.
What the fuck is an Uncrustable?
don't look it up.
It's a pre-made PB&J sandwich that's cut in a circle, and it's
They're frozen, right? I think.
they're frozen.
Yes.
Well, they're frozen because that's how you ship them. You know, you're supposed to not eat them frozen. Don't eat them frozen, Lee.
Well, I can't send actual like perishables. I have to send like, you know.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take anywhere from 3 days to 3 months to arrive, depending upon customs.
Yeah, so but I know they make Uncrustables in a packaged lunch, and that's not a perishable. Like, I know that they have different ones, so I have to find the Uncrustable lunch, which is even grosser, by the way,
Honestly, yeah.
because it's not a perishable. Yeah.
Like the Lunchables and shit, where they're just like
we've
infinite
had
shelf life.
Lunchables. I would appreciate not being
bad.
No, honestly, okay. What about American kids? know the it's the plastic package with the pretzel sticks and then the cheese at the end of the plastic package.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. I haven't
It's
had this
good when
in
you're a
ages.
kid and you can handle eating literal garbage. And then when you're an adult and you're like, oh, I'm going to try a Lunchable just for funsies. And you try it and you're like, what the fuck? I can't digest this.
Like the chicken nugget one, though.
Oh, God.
Oh man. Oh man. You guys don't want to know how many pizza flavored things I'm sending.
Pizza flavored Pringles. You need to get those.
We can get pizza flavored Pringles sometimes if you go in the right shop in this country.
Hold on, I gotta look up the proper name of the in pretzels.
They actually have so much.
My husband said you need to send the dill pickle flavored chips.
A DILF pickle?
They're
Well, but I think they have.
Hank? No,
I think they have dill flavored though, don't they?
they have dill flavored. Yeah.
We have pickle flavored basically everything in this country.
That's crazy. Nasty.
I don't know what that is, and I'm kind of terrified of it. Like, I'm unsure. I'm unsure. But I got 4 different barbecue flavors in 4 different chip textures. So, like, you can experience all the different ways Americans make chips. So.
Lovely.
Oh, wait, for the Canadians here, I got all dressed.
What the fuck is that?
Are you joking?
I've never heard of that.
Wait, Noodle,
You got
you're
what?
Noodle, you're American, right? Or you're Canadian, right? Like all dressed chips. Fucking all dressed chips.
I've never heard
Can
of
you
that.
spell it?
Hold on.
Whoa!
Oh! Well, okay, hold on.
Damn! Noodle had some fucking opinions on that.
That's fine. Let me look up all dressed and link them to you. It's yeah, it's Canadian chips with every flavor on them. Yeah, here.
What? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's the most. It's like a big Canadian chip flavor. Yeah. Yep. All dressed.
I've never heard of this. I think my husband would love it.
Well, Buffalo is close enough to Canada that I could get them there. You don't actually see them a lot in the United States. They're very Canadian, but I saw them and I was like, oh, Az might hate these. I'm getting them.
I'm not gonna get another fucking crisps rabbit hole.
I would say I love all dressed. So it's like, what is it? Barbecue, sour cream and onion. Oh, fuck, what are the flavors?
Those already don't go together.
My husband is the kind of autistic where instead of not wanting sensations, he wants all of the sensations all the time. And so I think he would genuinely love those.
I honestly, I'll send you a pack. Okay, it's ketchup, barbecue, sour cream and onion, salt and vinegar, and sometimes they put everything bagel seasoning depending on who makes it. Like,
what the fuck?
They're so good. I'm sorry. They're really good.
What?
And salt and vinegar and barbecue.
God.
What the actual fuck?
I think I would take that. I want to try poutine so bad. I've never had it.
How do you do that?
Well, this is going to be funnier than I thought. I bought all dressed as a joke, but this is even better. I do like. I hate that I like poutine, but I really like poutine. It's really good.
Poutine's just sheep gravy and cheese curds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never even had cheese curds though.
French fries. Okay. Well, no. Come visit me. It's Buffalo's 3 hours away. We'll go get poutine.
Hell yeah.
I never.
Okay, see, that sounds good. Because I love salt and vinegar. So, like, voodoo chips, salt and vinegar, like, that's just, yeah. I actually, one of the, in the mini pack that I got, there is a bag of American salt and vinegar chips, so you can compare them to the British salt and vinegar chips. So they're not the best salt and vinegar chips, but it's in the mix pack that I got, along with Funyuns.
Funyuns are so good.
I'm probably gonna like the Funyuns.
You're actually gonna like the Funyuns, and I'm gonna be shamed. Yeah, you're gonna like the Funyuns.
I love Funyuns, but they're just so fucking expensive over here. I can get them.
Like, our equivalent of Funyuns are like the cheapest thing you can get.
I'm wondering if they're made a different way, because
possibly
there's something else that I can think of that's kind of like a Funyun, but it's more like styrofoam rather than a crunch. And I'm wondering if that's what you're thinking of.
No, these are pretty crunchy.
It's okay. I don't like.
Well, they're just called onion rings in this country, which is hilarious.
I don't like Funyuns. I don't like onion flavored stuff. So that's the biggest
I think
problem.
Funyuns have milk in them, which means I've never actually had a Funyun. But I think recently I had Funyun flavored potato chips, which I wasn't allergic to, and I really liked them. So.
That makes sense, because Funyuns, I think Funyuns are actually fried, which means they probably have milk, which means they'd probably kill you, so yeah.
They can try.
You say, ending up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Astro, can you send a picture of what you're talking about? Because I really want to see. Hold on, onion rings.
Hold on, Lev, I just want to talk, because I've eaten Flaming Hot Cheetos. But I've never eaten them frozen. Why would you freeze them? I'm curious, because I've had Flaming Hot Cheetos. I'm just curious.
I gotta tap out, y'all. Good night.
Oh, night, babe.
Adios.
Night.
You are right, the poutine cheese is squeaky cheese, but I'm sorry, I got entirely obsessed with why would you... Okay. I don't think I've ever frozen like a chip snack. I've frozen like peppermint patties, but never like a snack, like a savory snack.
Why would you freeze peppermint patties? They're already like give you that cold sensation. I would die.
It's even better. They're just so fresh and good.
Fresh and good. Trying to sell them, they're fresh and good.
Wait, you don't like peppermint patties?
I actually do, but they give me like severe acid reflux.
Okay, that's fair. Otherwise, I was gonna give you a 5-minute timeout.
No, I actually love them. I just can't eat them. It makes me very sad. I was whining about it like a couple days ago.
Potato. Can you not?
I'm still on this Funyun thing. I think those onion rings are definitely gonna have a different texture to them. To Funyuns. Funyuns are much more airy. I want to say there's like.
From what you're describing, Funyuns sound like they're made of Wotsits.
I would say yes. Funyuns are a lot more fizzy. Hold on, the correct. Yes, I'm sorry. Lena,
There's like bigger,
right now.
bigger air holes in it than in this Onion Rings picture.
No, you freeze your Girl Scout cookies. They're so good. I'm sorry. Potato's also yelling at me. Potato, do you have something to say?
I can hear him.
We heard that meow. Holy shit, he put some effort into that one.
Right? Potato. Come here.
He says, "Mother, feed me."
Drugs. He wants drugs.
I also have cat. He's actually staring at the.
You guys heard some of that, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Fucking asshole. All right. You know what? It has been 2 hours and 30 minutes since we started recording, so.
Cat.
Oh. Hello, Kitty. Kitty.
I have a man.
Hello. Oh my god. Yes, screaming, by the way.
Also, are you wearing hydropower?
I love him.
What's hydropower?
The nail polish.
I have actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. I just did them like yesterday.
Oh my god. Sweet boy.
Hi.
What's the kitty's name? I forget.
His name's King.
Right, I should. If I can. I have to wait till the Girl Scouts come to my house, but if the Girl Scouts come to my house, I actually will put I will put an announcement up in the Discord. I will ship anybody Girl Scout cookies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm getting so many Samoas from you.
I'm totally happy. I will ship. Yeah. Yes. Well, I live in my neighborhood is in the middle of the woods, but like it's a family neighborhood. There are like kids in my neighborhood, and like as much as I don't want kids myself, I like supporting kids that come to my house. And so like it would actually be really funny if some Girl Scouts came to my house and I was like, yo, come back in 4 days, and I was like, we want to buy 20 boxes.
Literally, no, they would love it.
That's what I'm saying.
I was in the Girl Scout.
Yeah,
they would love it.
I would dig that. So if they ever come to my house, I will put up a form in the Discord and we can all buy a bunch of really good Girl Scout cookies. So yeah. But yeah, it's been 2.5 hours. Nobody's gonna watch this on YouTube. So
Howie.
I was gonna say thank you all for coming. Thank you to Maddie again for putting all of this together. It was amazing. It was incredible. You were awesome.
Yay.
You were
Thanks
awesome.
for presenting it for me because I'm a baby.
Well, I was gonna say, thank you for your contributions. I know you're shy, but you don't need to be shy because you are awesome. So yes, you really are. You really, really are. So
Well, I feel like Maddie is just so red right now.
thank you to everyone who trolled, and also thank you for not big trolling. So yeah. Atro, that means you. But
thank you for noticing that I behaved.
Yes.
Relatively.
I had myself muted. I was only in the chat. You could have ignored me.
No, thank you for everyone for joining at whatever point. I'm going to take it, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to make the balance the audio, and it will be up as soon as I can. So thanks. Literally everybody, you're all awesome. But we've been on this for 2.5 hours, so I think we all need to go take a break and have some water.